And hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Myers-Barber. I want to welcome you to my live stream here this evening on Friday. We know that time is moving so fast. It's just crazy how the week or the days or days have actually been shortened, and we can feel this. We are already on October the 10th, 2025. It's been one entire month since we all over the world saw this and terrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. My video today really, maybe it should have been titled, Is Trump the Antichrist? Maybe I would have at least one live viewer here. I don't know why. Let's see, I'm live on YouTube, X, and Facebook, but it is almost 7 p.m. on a Friday evening. I want to welcome you to the replay if you're watching, and also make sure to share this. Basically, there is a lot happening right now. President Trump is pushing what he's calling a historic peace deal involving Israel. And at the very same time, he's opening a sudden, full-scale trade war with China. Some people say it's just politics and economics, but others are looking at it through a much bigger lens. Prophecy watchers are pointing straight to Daniel 9:27, where it talks about a powerful leader making a covenant with many, a major peace agreement, and then global turmoil following soon after. With Trump brokering Middle East peace on one hand and threatening 100% more tariffs on China on the other, a lot of people are asking, is this all connected? Are we watching geopolitics, or is something biblical taking shape? I'm going to be breaking it down with you. We're going to go right over to President Trump's Truth Social post in case you haven't seen, and we're going to be taking a look at what is happening. Also, want to show you some things that are transpiring on X. This is the first time I've ever seen Laura Loomer, who has been devout with President Trump, literally calling him out. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take us over to President Trump's Truth Social post. I want to make sure to read this, and I'm just going to be showing you some clips of what I have found interesting. So 2 days ago, this all broke out. And by the way, President Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but he didn't get it. That doesn't look very Antichrist to me. So, and he's hated by so many people. There's just so many angles to this. So, getting into this Truth Social post, he says, I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon. They're saying by Monday. So, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, and all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. We thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. That's right. And I don't have this queued up, but even Obama, he wrote out a very long post praising Trump. It says in scripture, our enemies will be at peace with us. And also, Qatar was the one that gifted President Trump the plane. Remember, that was a really big deal. People were really upset about that. And so let's go right up and take a look at some footage here on Fox News that took place at 5:01 p.m.
Hey, Bill, good morning. The war in Gaza is almost over. For the first time in months, there is hope across the Middle East. President Trump has done what so many thought was impossible. Celebrations erupted at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv overnight as Israelis process the news that all of the remaining hostages held by Hamas will be released in the days ahead.
I want to thank President Trump for bringing this amazing victory. That's the name for it. That's a victory. He deserves a Nobel Prize for this, a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing this amazing deal.
Similar moments of joy unfolding inside Gaza as crowds of Palestinians cheered and chanted. After 2 years of war, an influx of aid and relief will make it to residents there. The Israeli cabinet is set to formally vote on the deal this evening. Once that vote passes, Israeli forces inside Gaza will have 24 hours to pull back to agreed-upon lines within the enclave. President Trump says 20 living hostages will be released on Monday. Israeli media reports the exchange could take place sooner. Local hospitals are already preparing for their return. The hostages will be swapped for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners.
Anyway, I really think this is something I really almost wouldn't hold my breath on the hostage situation. So we're basically going to jump right up and go focus on China right now because of the China tariff developments. He was posting on this. Let me see. Let me bring you back over here. Let me bring you back over here. Sorry, this is my Poshmark closet here. Sorry. Don't know why that's coming up on commercials. Okay. Let's just let you know. And by the way, my next video is going to be about geofencing, so we can grasp while we're seeing these commercials that come up when they just don't make any sense. So we're going to go over and take a look at that. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I want to thank everybody for your patience. So anyway, 10 hours ago, this was the first one. And I say this is like a book that President Trump wrote. I mean, just look at this. This is crazy. Look how much. I'm going to read every word though. So some very strange things are happening in China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths, which are rare earth minerals, that is, and virtually anything else they can think of. Even if it's not manufactured in China, nobody has ever seen anything like this, but essentially it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. We have been contacted by other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility, which came out of nowhere. Our relationship with China over the past 6 months has been a very good one, thereby making this move on trade an even more surprising one. I've always felt that they've been lying in wait. And now, as usual, I've been proven right. There is no way that China should be allowed to hold the world captive, but that seems to have been their plan for quite some time, starting with the magnets and other elements that they have quietly amassed into somewhat of a monopoly position. A rather sinister and hostile move, to say the least, President Trump says. But the U.S. has monopoly positions also, much stronger and more far-reaching than China's. I have just not chosen to use them. There was never a reason for me to do so until now. The letter they sent is many pages long and details with great specificity each and every element that they want to withhold from other nations. Things that were routine are no longer routine at all. I have not spoken to President Xi because there was no reason to do so. This was a real surprise, not only to me, but to all leaders of the free world. I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at APEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate in this way, and in that this was the day that, after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there's peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental. Depending on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out, I will be forced as President of the United States of America to financially counter their move for every element that they have been able to monopolize. We have to. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though, potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA. One of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the United States of America. There are many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Thank you for your attention to this matter! Explanation. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, October the 10th at 7:57 a.m. President Trump is putting this out. Oh my gosh. So let me look at something before I go on. I want to take a look at this. I want to try to kind of break this down. I know that this is definitely serious, and I really felt like this definitely had to do with the China hating Israel and the whole peace deal. So Trump asserted that China has made this hostile move by restricting export of rare earth materials. So these are rare earths are critical in manufacturing electronics. Like they're trying to literally stop us in the manufacturing of electronics, batteries, defense tech, etc. And he is announcing to impose this additional 100% tariff on the Chinese goods, effective November the 1st, pretty much, to supplement these existing tariffs that he already had on them. And he also mentioned instituting export controls of critical software to China. So this is really something. I mean, earlier in April of this year, Trump had already raised the U.S. tariffs on China imports to 125%. So that was already very steep. And then he pulled it back and he announced a 90-day pause. So basically something is going on with this. Is like really serious for Trump to put this out and for China to literally put all these countries on notice. And this kind of reminds me of a scripture in the Bible. It talks about how within 1 hour, this is mind-blowing, that trade will just come to a halt, like all over the world at the same time globally. And we can't assume that we're not inching closer all the time to this type of situation. We know that I can barely go out to stores, and I can't even see things that are not made in China right now. So they're putting getting ready to put hurting on the USA. We already know prices are through the roof, aren't they? I mean, it's literally going to shut down shopping if this keeps going this way. And so we also have other signals, risks with markets. We see markets and volatility. I think the internet, Mazen was saying it was flooded today with people maybe selling off risk assets. We now, as I was saying, there's going to be pressure on supply chain and even more inflation if we can handle it as it already is. And not only that, President Trump went on and he did more. Another post, which I'm going to read to you in a moment. But we don't need to see disruptions to industries that rely on these rare earth imports or components that are tied to China. And there's many, including, like I said, the electronics, defense, battery, renewable energy sectors depend on these materials. What we have here is, I think they've been power panties for so long in the United States, China, and President Trump is trying to be positive, saying in the long run, this is going to be better for the USA. But wow, is it going to it's going to be so to reform and redo all this and bring everything back to being made in the USA with what the resources we have now and just the things that are shifting with AI. It's just almost too much to take. Now, China could respond even with more tariffs, export restrictions, which I would probably see. I could see that coming, and other, regulatory responses. So there's just a domino risk in effect here as we see this trade war intensifying much sooner than nobody is ready for this. Nobody's ready to pay more anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over and take a look at another Truth Social post that Trump put out as well. I'm going to skip through some things and just get right to it. Let's see. I'm probably missing stuff. Well, let me see what this is. Can you play?
I love it. She's busted, and only general of the state of New York who made
Letitia James. Okay, she got busted. Let's move on. I'm not going to focus. Okay, so here it is. This is the one I want to focus on. So, and then President Trump, when did he put this out? I'm just clicking 5 hours ago today. We're still on today. This is the second one today. He is still talking about China, and I want you to see this with me. It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that they were going to, effective November the 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make. Talking about industries falling, I mean, industries will fall if this happens. I'm adding this here. So, and going back to Trump, some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position in speaking only for the USA and not other nations who are similarly threatened, starting November the 1st, 2025, that is 20 days from now or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China. The United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also, on November the 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention in this matter. And he signs the whole name, President, October 10th, 1:50 p.m. So let's see here. So this is like, I think this is going to continue. If you ask me, I really do. I think this is going to continue. So we're going to we're going to go right over to X now because I want to show some of the things that are happening. And Erica Kirk has posted 3 hours ago. She's basically grieving so bad. And I don't want to make this video about, them right now because I'm going to do a separate video. But for all the people who think that Charlie Kirk wasn't really assassinated, you've lost your mind. This woman is grieving, and I just can't even entertain such crazy stuff. But she's grieving, and she's posting about that now here. So let's go down here. Let's skip to now. Laura Loomer, I'd mentioned this earlier. The only thing I want to say on her is she's calling out. Wait a minute, that's not the one. I'm just gonna scroll down. I've just seen it. She was before I get to that, Benny Johnson had an attack on his life today, and an individual has been arrested for threatening to kill his wife and his 4 children and him. So there was a letter that was sent to his home saying that they hated our views and wanted us dead. And so they had a big press conference today. Pam Bondi was there. I think this took place in Florida. And so that was really unexpected. So sad. And Andrew Colvett, who is the PR of Turning Point USA, is also talking about it's been 1 month without Charlie, devastated to watch his final moments here on Earth. And so people are grieving their friend or husband, or, as I was just mentioning. And then we get down to, we get down to some people that are being paid. I know some of these people are being paid $7,000 a post. I was just looking at this person called Insurrection Barbie. I no longer trust that person. But here's Laura Loomer. It's not the person I'm calling out by any means. I don't think she's paid because the Supreme Court wouldn't even take up her case. She's been banned from YouTube. She's been banned from, I think, Facebook. So I would think she'd have a bigger reach if she was one of those people. But she's basically saying there isn't a single Trump supporter who supports allowing Qatar to have a military base on U.S. soil. I don't know who told President Trump this was a good idea, but it has made people not want to vote. This is the type of thing I would expect from a president, Ilhan Omar. So I'm going to repost that. So I thought that was really something to see that. And so I don't want to get off my subject line here. I just really wanted to cover some of these posts and and just wanted to. I feel like this is extremely historical with what President Trump is doing with the peace deal. And China is really acting up. I mean, China is really pushing back. And so the China rare earth restriction that's happening is, I guess it's a trigger for maybe how President Trump is putting this peace deal in. I can't really figure it out. It may be secondary or it may be a parallel concern, but it's just something that I wanted to bring up and I wanted to show everybody because of the implications and how quickly things are changing and on a daily basis. And so many people are running right over to Daniel 9:27. And they're basically saying, is this a fulfillment of prophecy in connection with Trump's peace deal with Israel? And because in Daniel 9:27, it talks about the covenant with many. And so there's a peace deal that's an agreement and a covenant involving many nations that have prophetic significance. And some believe Trump's peace deal could be that covenant or part of the prophetic framework. But that would almost, I think, make Trump, and I think have to be like the Antichrist, and I just don't at all think he is, and because that person would basically turn around and become the devil. So it's just crazy. So there's a lot to get into on that. So I just I don't see it, and plus we have to realize that Monday it still hasn't happened, and we don't really know if it's really going to calm down and stop. They've agreed to these deals in pieces, and so we have to see if when Monday comes, and indeed they'll turn in the hostages and do what they said. So there we go. And for now, I'm going to end this live stream. I am going to come back. I am going to be talking about geofencing and how there's been a bunch of churches that have agreed, or maybe not agreed, but they're on this list, and they are being targeted for ads. And so when you walk into these houses of worship, your phone is being targeted, your cell phone, and so you would receive ads. And so I think this is happening everywhere, and I'm going to get into that on my next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great